When the UK left the EU, I said that now is an opportunity for companies
Mm.
in the UK to look further afield for them to sell the wares, to sell things.
Yeah, cool.
A lot of companies didn't have the ability to do this and fell by the wayside.
Mm.
Others, who also weren't willing to do this, are not making the money they used to make and are still trying to sell to the EU countries, albeit having to change paperwork and make some production changes to satisfy the ever-changing demands made by the EU Directorate in the name of standards.
Mm.
In the meantime, the rest of the world outside of the EU seems to be doing relatively well. This while the EU is sucking the oxygen out of its own economy by bickering and red tape. The latest blunder by the EU is its relationship with Russia. Right?
Yeah.
By putting Putin on the bogeyman list and supplying Kiev with the arms to try and give Putin a good spanking, they seem to have forgotten one important thing.
Mm.
Russia was supplying the very lifeblood for the economies of almost every EU nation in the bloc.
Mm.
But such was the blindness of their ways, even the most patient of men would have turned their back on the EU, and just like the UK should have done years ago, look for other markets to sell their wares.
Mm.
And to the detriment of Western Europe, Russia has done just that.
Oh, yeah.
At the Shanghai Cooperation Summit, which is a meeting recently in China,
Yeah.
the heads of state of Russia, Mongolia, and China have signed an agreement for Russia to sell to China gas
Mm.
transported via a pipeline through Mongolia to China via the Power of Siberia pipeline.
Mm.
This means that Russian gas will travel east and not west anymore. Already gas travels through the Power of Siberia 1 pipeline, but pipeline number 2 will allow as much gas as Russia can produce in the direction of Beijing.
Mm.
That means no more Russian gas for the EU, not even the under the table deals done at
Yeah.
present, you know, uh, by places like Italy and Greece. They're still buying Russian gas, albeit under the table, so to speak.
Yeah.
So now Germany will have to live with 100% more expensive LNG from the US, which would be good for the US, another non-EU country, showing once again that there is another world out there besides Western Europe. That ironically, Western Europe will need to trade with to try and keep its head above water.
Yeah.
What signs more does a British company need to realise they have to lift their heads up, take out their Foster grants,
Mm.
and look on the horizon towards the rest of the world?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that the adverts for Foster grant sunglasses, and they were saying, "I don't see the Indians, I don't see Indians," and he puts
Oh,
a
yeah. I
Foster
remember.
grant,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and on the horizon it's full of Indians waiting to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Okay.
means put some sunglasses on, take the sleep out of your eyes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
see what's out there for
Yes.
real.
Yeah. Show your coffee cup. Wake up and smell this. Yeah. Yeah.
Right there you
Um,
are.
yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not going to say the companies. I've heard, yeah, because um, through different things that there are more than one British company that, hey, guess what? Wants to
What?
start trading with the rest of the world. Yeah, and realised that there may be a bigger market out there.
Only one.
No, it's more than one. Yeah, I've heard about four, but I can't say they are because it's through different contacts. Away from not I'm keeping anything secret, but yeah, it's a um, yeah, but it's a they don't want the competition to know. Um, but yeah, because you're just not talking British competition, you're talking about European wide and also global. Um, it's a yeah, I mean, why anyone? I mean, there was a belief that the it dates back to almost intransigence of Europe, and if you like, our leaders are very um, up themselves across Europe. Funny enough, Western Europe, yeah. They don't believe anything's going to happen until it actually happens. I could have
Right.
told them that if you'd asked, I could have told them 20 years ago that if you're going to ask the British public what their opinions about membership of the European Union were, disregards any other things that happened since, they'd have said leave on principle sometimes. Yeah. Um, and I do believe if there's a referendum tomorrow, I think it would still be leave. I don't know. I'm not on the ground there. Maybe somebody else could have an opinion about that. Um, but we're,
I've got slightly different opinion, and not because
yeah,
uh, the people really think it's the best thing to do. It's
mm,
because the government has been stifling everything.
well, of course it has. Yeah,
Companies have just not been bothering to look for the rest of the world.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
and so they if they're going bust and sacking people, then people are going to think, oh, and the government's saying, oh, this is because we're not in the EU.
yeah, yeah,
That's a load of rollocks. It's
yeah,
because the people aren't getting off the fat asses to go and find the markets where their company can fit in.
yeah,
Just like these four companies that you were on about now.
yeah. Um, I mean, we know. Yeah, yes, this is where the companies across Europe. I mean, there is a belief, and we live outside Europe, if like outside, yeah, outside the Western world to a certain degree. There is a belief amongst certain people now that Western Europe's on the decline. People certainly in.
I could have told you that 10 years ago.
Well, that's it. Well, yeah, I mean the Brazilians have always thought, well, Western Europe, Europe, Europe. They've got relatives now who are writing back to say, yeah, it's getting a bit tetchy here now. It's not the country I moved to 5 years ago, or the continent. I mean, yeah, countries across Europe are changing. Um, Now, yeah, and like you say, other countries. I mean, it's what BRICS is all about: breaking away from the Western world. Okay, the US is going to automatically object to BRICS, and well, I can understand that. Yeah, but the US, what people in the US have got to realize, they are a big economy within themselves, and um, more and more we're proving in Europe that we can't be self-sufficient, as what you've just sort of said. Yeah, on a lot of things, we can't even police ourselves now. Um, we got to have an opinion about Russia. Do I agree with what Russia are doing all the time? Certainly not. As regards to the actions they're taking in Ukraine, I can understand why it happened. That doesn't mean I have to agree with it. Yeah. And do I do I agree with what Ukraine are doing? Absolutely not. Yeah.
Don't conflate the two things.
No.
Business is business.
Yeah.
Conflict is another
But
thing.
I'm saying, but I'm it is being conflated
That
with
shouldn't be.
with Western Europeans, with Western
Mhm.
Europeans and the governments and
Yep.
principles.
Yep.
The reality was now the 45th president of the US, and I've said this before, went and told the European Union, you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
Um, hey, guess what happened? You don't see that clip played many times across the British media, do you? Funny enough. Yeah.
Or the German media,
Or the
even
German.
less.
Yeah. Well, they were the ones that were doing the laughing. They were leading the
Right. That's why I
laughing.
say.
Yeah.
I say.
They've been humiliated. They'll probably say, well, the 45th president colluded with with the Russian leadership to do this to us. No, guys, you brought it on yourself. And
Yeah.
then, um, okay, you can argue, we can all argue about things. We've now proved that effectively, yeah, Europe has been subsidized in part by Russia and in part by America, the US, the two big countries. Now, Russia is not a big economy in itself. It's what, 11th
Yeah.
in the world? Ninth to
Something like
11th,
that.
whichever figures you believe. And
They're
again,
about the same size as California and the US, let's
well,
say.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's not what you would call a massive economy. It's up there, but it's not massive. And when you see between the big two, and then everyone else underneath it, it's quite incredible.
Right.
Yeah. Um, yeah, they're on par, probably. yeah, I mean, why Germany's fourth at the moment, I don't quite understand. But hey, I'm not gonna start or fourth or fifth, whatever. Yeah, we're fifth or sixth. The UK is. Brazil is actually down, I think, 11th place at the moment.
Yeah, the UK is up there because of financial services,
Exactly. Yeah.
as is Germany. If you were talking about the industrial economy, then that graph that you saw would be totally different.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a bit, it's a big overview. And yeah, Steve looks at it more weekly than I do. I look at it once every month or something for various different reasons. But yeah, I pull these in on it as examples. Um, but yeah, we are relying and our reliance, and again, this is Western European leaders are responsible for this, not the people on the ground. Yeah,
Oh,
we elect these people, and as I often say, the trouble with democracy is, and I'm going to go off a tangent here, but I think it's important. When we have politicians who turn around, this is what happens in Western Europe, to say, so the people on the ground don't understand what is really going on. Yeah. Um, well, once every 4 years, or even 2 years, depending where you are, you ask us to put an X or a vote or push a button or however else you do it, um, against certain candidates whom we believe are the best people who best represent us to run the country. Yeah. Um, and yes, you're quite right. I don't have a degree in economics. I don't have a degree in healthcare. I don't have a degree in education. I don't have a degree in um, military matters. Yeah, geopolitics, etc.
but
Yeah.
you're talking about Rachel Reeves there.
I don't have a degree. I haven't even got an ology in whatever she doesn't have. No, I do have actually have an knowledge. I'm more qualified than Rachel Reeves to run an economy. Yeah. Um, God help, God help the British if they're relying on me, though. I wouldn't have a clue. But I elect the people I think do actually have a clue. And more, we're finding out that um, they don't, or they don't understand, or they're there for personal gain, or they're there, yeah, or they're there as the power for power literally in the EU. Let's be honest about it. The EU is not necessarily a democracy anymore.
No,
I've said it. I've said it, folks. The
don't
EU
think
is
it's ever
not a
was.
democracy. Yeah, it's a bureaucracy. And that's about the kindest thing you can say about it. We elect local politicians who just go and put their hands up about things or push a button or do something, however they do it there, and or we don't anymore. The rest of Europe does, and it would appear that it has little effect or no effect at all. Yeah. And what do the people across Europe really want? They want heating or energy to heat their houses, to cook their foods. They want reasonably priced goods in the supermarkets or their shops. They want reasonable transport systems. And they want their children to go to school, be educated. And when they need health care, they need that. They don't need to hear excuses about why things are so expensive. Yeah. And they don't need to hear, well, on principle, we've got to stand up to these people, this person, this country, this individual. Yeah. Um, disregards other issues going on at the moment. Yeah. So when a politician says we don't understand the full issues, well, I would suggest you don't understand the people that voted for you. And I'm going to get this aggressive with it. Yeah. Okay. Well, now looking at wider issues, yes, it's pretty obvious what Russia was going to be doing. Russia isn't constrained with a market that is Western Europe. In fact, it's now become an itch to them. Yeah. I'm going to be honest, if I was Putin, I would just be turning off all the gas lines there. I don't need you anymore.
He has. It's what he's going to do. He's
Yeah.
not going to send any more gas to Europe,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and he's going to send it all to China. That's the whole point of this podcast.
Yeah.
He's
No, I'm re-emphasizing it. Yeah.
rapid market. As much gas as he wants to
Yeah.
sell, he
Mm.
can sell to China, and they're all going to go by these. The second pipeline is going to be up and running in 2030, in another 5 years.
Mm.
But there is one pipeline
Yeah.
already built.
Sure. Yeah.
and that's going to start taking from next year. It's going to start taking gas from Russia to China,
Mm.
and then as capacity gets higher, they're gonna put in the second pipeline, and it's
Yeah.
going to be higher capacity, and Europe's going to get nothing. Europe's going to have to go to the US for the
Yeah,
LNP.
you just said that, or go nuclear, or nuclear's going to be a long-term project again because they had the capacity and they rolled away from it. They're going to be digging coal again at some point, more because
I
Germany
think
gone.
Europe's starting to be a little bit like that playground that isn't in fashion anymore. It's a bit like a nightclub,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to go anymore. And you've got the doorman on the door
Mm,
waiting for the first customers to come in,
mm.
and you've got the barman behind the bar just polishing the glasses.
Yeah.
And they just don't know why. They just don't know why they got all the customers have gone away. And
Well,
I think because it's because people like Van der Leyen
mm.
is trying to put 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 rules and regulations in place where they don't need to be, and it's just turning people away.
Well, that is the ultimate thing about control. If you're putting rules in place and regulations, you're actually looking for control. That's what that's all about, and how
Yeah,
to quickly control people. Oh, well, you got this rule. We have to now invoke martial law for this or
yeah,
do that. Yeah. Um, I heard I saw a video of Conor McGregor. I think it was a few weeks ago, speaking about Ireland because
mm,
obviously, okay, we're talking politics, we're talking European.
mm.
Okay, what does Colin McGregor know about geopolitics? He's probably travelled to more countries in his profession, and given he's a successful businessman as well, yeah, agree or disagree, way he earns his living, we like it. I don't think he was a great fighter. I thought he was a spectacular fighter and an entertainer, yeah, but he's also got quite a sharp brain about him when he speaks.
I don't think
And
there'll be many people who'll disagree with him in front of his face.
well, actually, he has been to Russia and he's met Putin. And
Yeah,
apparently, it's the only time I've seen Conor McGregor actually back down is one of Putin's bodyguards. Yeah, these are real trained killers. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think Putin actually pulled the body. Yeah, Putin wanted. I think I got the sense that it's more that Putin wanted to be photographed with Conor McGregor than anything else. Yeah,
Of course.
yeah. The guy is an icon for Ireland. He's the best ambassador Ireland have ever had in recent years. Yeah. Okay. They've. I don't quite know about different cases about him, and it's alleged and everything. He's a bit of a lad, but um, yeah, probably going to have all sorts of complaints about that. Yeah, but he's still
Mm,
walking free. He hasn't been convicted of anything directly.
mm, mm.
Um, but yeah, he's an ambassador for Ireland. If he gets the presidentship, you could actually see some people from outside Ireland actually coming to do business with Ireland. Yeah. And the EU will probably find a way to block it as well, out of jealousy or spite. Yeah. So, but there are businessmen in Ireland who are chomping at the bit to do more trade. Um, Ireland Ireland is the headquarters of a lot of IT companies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Could be the centre of a lot more if Conor McGregor gets in there, and of sport entities
Mm,
and lots of other things. And we're not talking soft things, we're talking real hard businesses and bringing back some industry there as well.
yeah, I'm sure that Germany is going to be a little bit upset now that they're going to have the gas supply cut off.
Well, I feel sorry for the German population, and they now have to decide on two scores what they're going to do about their local national politicians and the wider European Union.